Doing everything tonight. Radio, a lot.
How are you, mate? Very, very busy. Must be pleased with that. I mean, particularly the first half, Scotty. We spoke to Matthew Nix, but you blew them away, really.
Yeah, it was conscious that they're really, their best is very, very good, and they played some really good footy this year, and the start was going to be really important, but it was more just, the scoreboard's one thing, but it was the way the game was being played was really pleasing. We had some things that we really focused on during the week around the contest that we took out from the Port game, and the players executed that really well early. So, when the whips were cracking and the game was there to be won, I thought the boys were fantastic tonight.
To show a bit of maturity in the group, and last week would have been disappointing naturally, but to come back, travel and then to front up, it just feels like it's a new level of maturity. Is that fair, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think you have to build that over time. It doesn't even, a bit over half a season, it's not enough, I don't think, to say that, that we're there by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm just, as a coach, I'm really pleased that I have and hopefully our supporters do too. They come to the game and they have a fair idea of what to expect. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to win, but we're going to compete and give great effort. And I thought our pressure was really good against another really good pressure team in the Crows. I thought our tackling was as good as it's been all year, so that's another really good step forward. And it really had to be, because the Crows still looked dangerous on transition, but particularly in the first half, our ability to defend the ball in transition was probably as good as it's been all year.
Do you feel the momentum growing in terms of the crowd? Even today, it just seemed really electric. Now the roof shut, that helps. But do you feel something building?
Oh, it's up until last week, our media team were telling me that we'd average 75,000 at the MCG this year. I mean, it's just, so it's the support we get is unbelievable, and it's right across the country, and we can feel it, and we want to make our fans proud, but we're still, I know it sounds boring, but we're just still really focused on building. We said it was going to take some time, and I still maintain it is going to take some time. We've got a fair bit of a gap to bridge to the best teams in the competition, but I think the most pleasing thing for us is that we're competitive against everyone. We've had patches of games where we've been under pressure, but for the most part we've been pretty competitive. So that's a good platform to build on. But I'm still more excited about what's to come rather than what we're actually doing at the moment.
Brad, how's Jordan Ridley, and what was the thought process about bringing him back on there? Obviously didn't run it out, but how did that go for you guys?
Yeah, he hyperextended his knee, which was pretty clear on the vision. So, look, in the coaching box, we just start planning we assume that he's out. So, but fortunately, we didn't activate our sub because the medical staff said, look, we're pretty confident in it structurally. Rids is really keen to give it a go. And I think I asked at least once, maybe twice, are you sure? For obvious reasons. But you just have to take the advice of the experts. And, there's probably some, when you hyperextend your knee like that, there's probably some bone bruising. So he came out, as soon as we saw him hobbling, it's just get him off and sub him out. So, but then we had another couple of players come off with a few little ailments. So it was a bit of a mess there for about a 10, 15 minute period in the third quarter. But we'll go and get a scan on that. We can't give any definitive, or the docs can't give me a definitive diagnosis on it at the moment. But the fact that they thought it was structurally okay, Rids felt like he wanted to give it a go, gives you a bit of confidence, but there are no guarantees until we get that scan.
What about Mason Redmond? It was third quarter, he was off for quite an extended period. Looked like his hammy, he's back, but he obviously finished the match. But is there any concern there? Or?
There's always a concern. I mean, that was a funny one. It's like we're trying to get him off to assess his hamstring, but he kept running and spreading for kicks and handballs and flying for marks. It's like, I don't know if you guys have ever done a hamstring, but I couldn't do that when I did one. So it's, the explanation to me is it's more of a bit of almost like a hamstring tendonitis thing, not a muscle thing. So, yeah, spoke to Red after the game and he feels fine. But yeah, certainly as a coach, you like if there's any risk, get him off. But he played out the game, it should be fine.
So for a layman, like when you talk about tendonitis, is it like it's not tightness? It's what is it? Like how
not a muscle injury per se. It's a bit more tendon attachment, so it can get a bit inflamed. So it's more of a something that's not acute. It's just something that gives him a little bit of grief periodically, but he can usually push through it. So very different to muscle injury risk. If they said, look, he's got a tight hamstring, we wouldn't have put him back on.
Geelong this week, Scotty, I think Hawke got a hold of you last time without Laverty. Do you think you'd be better prepared than the back end personnel-wise and otherwise to try and stop the Cats?
Yeah, I'm always conscious that those really good players can have all your best laid plans, and he's just a very good player, Hawke. I mean, you play him in front, he gets you out the back. You play him behind, he's still got power and speed off the mark at his age, and so we'll. But I thought they blew us away for a 20-minute period, badly, but then for the rest of the game we sort of adjusted and were able to support our defence a little bit better. So still the challenges don't get much bigger than the Cats down at GMHBA, and I can't remember the last time I've seen a Bombers-Cats game down there, so it'll be something different for all of us.
Just going back to what you were saying earlier about your excitement levels, you're more excited about looking way down the track than necessarily what's happening right now. But does there become a point where finals becomes a carrot for you and that you can use it as a motivator? This is going to be really good for this group to be playing in September.
Yeah, I don't think I need to speak about it because it's pretty obvious for everyone, players included, that they can see the potential for it. But as I keep saying every week, it's a bit like half-time. We spend a lot of time at half-time. Things are going well for us. Right, this is a real test now to make sure that we can stay on track. So it's a bit of a microcosm for the second half tonight and our season. If we start to think ahead, you take your eye off what you need to focus on. When I talk about excitement into the future, I'm just thinking about all our room for improvement. Like, I think we're playing some pretty competitive footy, but it's far from perfect. So I get excited about putting the pieces together and getting better. So I think we want our supporters to get excited, but the players have just got to stay focused on the task at hand. And the third quarter got away from us a bit there, so I think that's a good lesson not to look too far into the future.
And throwing forward just with selection, those sorts of things, obviously Dylan Shield last couple of weeks, the sub. You've got a guy like Ben Hobbs who had to bide his time at the start of the year, playing really good footy now. You've got Will Setterfield to come back. Yep. There's going to be some selection headaches.
Yeah, and there has been the last month, to be honest. Like, it's, I talk all the time, it's a really good... The players have been exceptional. Like, we've got some players who I think deserve their spot in our side, but they've been squeezed out because other players have held up their end of the bargain. And, we made it challenging for Hobbsy at the start of the year to force his way into the team, and he's been absolutely fantastic for us, and that has a flow-on effect, and you get a few players back from injury. So we spent a lot of time with our boys on, you take some inspiration from Mitch Marsh. It's a squad mentality. You don't know when you're going to be needed. Mitch Marsh has almost been like an understudy to Cameron Green for a long time, and he gets his opportunity, and that's taking your opportunity. So, Hobbsy did that. Dry Menzies done that. So we're going to have some good challenges, and that's what good teams have.
Is Hobbsy a lock now?
Well, if he keeps playing like that, he's going to be very, very difficult. Well, put it this way. If he keeps playing like that and he gets displaced out of our team, we'll be going unbelievably well.
There was a bump from Phillips on O'Brien in the very last minute. Did you happen to see that? And if so, do you have any concerns at your end about that?
Even if I did, I can't control it. But yeah, I did. I saw it live. I was more sort of almost commentating, because we want our ruckman to shepherd, and I think it was Shield who block a path. If it was, I haven't looked at it in detail whether he got him high or not, but impact didn't look huge. So we'll let the MRO take care of that.
Can Draper play this week, Scotty?
No, I don't think so. No. He might surprise me and complete main training, but we've said that we can't give a sort of a return to play date for Drapes until he gets back into main training, and he doesn't look to me anyway that he's ready for main training this week. So the goal is just to build him up to main training, and then we can have an accurate assessment of when he come back. But I can't see it being this week.
Just one on Nick Martin. Are you surprised, having come into the club, the 22-year-old who couldn't get drafted initially, how well he's performing at the moment? How impressed are you with this kid who's in All-Australian contention at 22 years of age?
Yeah, he's and it took like sort of a couple of weeks, because even the coaches are saying, Nick Martin's got some real capability, and Sam Durham's the same, and SSP and mid-season draft picks, and coming in, if I didn't know any better, I just would have assumed they were first-round picks. The way they train, the way they play, and I think that should give everyone, the AFL, more confidence. We talk about Tassie coming in, the talent pool. There's plenty of talent out there. Just it needs to be nurtured and developed. And the AFL have done a great job with, the Coach League now. But it's just really important to invest in young players, because, that so many players get overlooked in the draft and come back to have great careers. And Martin's inspiration for a whole lot of them.
Scotty, when you took the job, did you think you'd be here? Do you think you'd be 9 wins from 17 games or whatever it is, talking about finals or not? Like, is it progressing even more quickly than you might have thought when you started?
I probably didn't think about it that way. It was just more about how do we improve our individual players, each week, and that was a clear mandate that we wanted to really invest in development and trying to improve every single player on our list. And if we did that really well, then we'd be better. But I'm just conscious of the competition. I mean, there's a lot of it that just doesn't make a lot of sense at the moment. But again, the competition's structured that way, so it's. I know that probably people on the outside, you look at the competition and you think, oh, they should beat them, but it's just every game's a tough game, And someone once told me it's sort of not who you play, it's when you play them, and that's factoring into this season too, because teams that have been struggling can get a few players back and look really dangerous. So I think the competition's really tight, and we've won some close games. So the results will be what they'll be. We'll just keep trying to focus on improving those individual players and keep building the system.
Do you shut down your brother this week? I know you hate talking about it. Do you screen his calls or?
He doesn't call me anyway. So.